Hello and what's up everyone, Thunderbob here, and I am checking out my Steam Deck again tonight. So I recently did a video showing Diablo 2 Resurrected running on my Steam Deck, and I had some requests to show off the settings and how I got it to run as well as I did. It generally runs around 60 FPS with how I've got it configured, so I thought I'd do a video showing the setup and configuration I have, and then some gameplay just to show you kind of the performance you could expect. First off, this is just like the main Steam Deck library. I've got like 1,300 Steam games here, just a ton of games. I've also got 36 installed. Here's what I've got installed and I kind of been playing around with. If there is anything you would like to see in the future, just let me know in a comment below. I'll be happy to do a video showing performance or any specific aspects you want to see. I've got a bunch of emulated games on here too, everything from, Super Nintendo, all the way up to Switch. Switch runs on here pretty well. I've got a video demonstrating some of that on the channel as well. But we're going to get to non-Steam games, and this is actually how you launch Diablo 2 Resurrected. I've got Battle.net installed, which you basically have to install it in the desktop mode and then add it as a non-Steam game, and then you launch it as a non-Steam game using the Proton. And I'll show you that here. Let's see, bring up the options. This is the one that I have found works best. If you get the compatibility layer, make sure this is checked. I've got Proton Experimental as the option I'm using here. Oops. And go ahead and launch Battle.net here. Again, this is all on the Steam Deck. I'm running this hooked up to my computer using a capture card and a hub, and I'll put a link in the description down below if you're interested in any of those devices to get them running on your own machine. Now the problem is when I plug it in, I lose the Steam Deck screen. I'm playing this looking at my OBS window, and if I remember right, this screen I actually have to click. Yeah, I see. Okay, and I'm back. It would not let me use the touch screen while I had my Steam Deck plugged into my computer for whatever reason. The support for docking is still a little wonky. I think that's one of the worst aspects actually of the Steam Deck. I love this thing, using it in bed. I love it like on the road if my wife's driving and I'm, got nothing to do. It's a great portable device. But the plugging it into your computer and using it as a desktop replacement, it's got some distance still to go. First off, let's go and look at the settings. And I know the video here is not perfect. I'm running this through a hub, and it looks great on the Steam Deck. I find when I stream it to the computer, especially through OBS, it loses some of that clarity. It's bumping up a 720p image to 1080p or higher, and it's just never going to look as good. I have the frame rate cap turned off. I've actually got the Steam Deck set to 60 FPS cap, which I can click this little 3-dot button over here, and I'll show you that actually. So right now I've got the refresh rate set to 60 and the frame rate limit set to 60. You could actually lower this to 40. Like when I'm playing The Witcher 3, I lower the refresh rate and the frame rate limit to 40, just so it's not using as much battery life and it's not the fan is not running as hot. For Diablo, I'm probably gonna run this at 60 just because I'm used to running it at higher frames per second. But this is how you can do it from the Steam Deck's interface. You probably would do it here before you would do it in-game. Let me also show you one other thing that people may have messed around with is the scaling filter. Linear is the default. That's what I would recommend. You could try FSR, basically running the game at a lower resolution and then turning FSR on. I have not had the best luck using FSR yet. Games that have FSR built into them, I think, work better. But generally I just use linear here. So that could also be something you've changed. All of these I turn off. You could go in and manually control like your TDP limit where your GPU clock. In some games and in some like emulators, you get better performance where maybe it is, it doesn't need as much GPU, it needs more CPU. So you could lower the clock on your GPU, get a little bit more out of the CPU as an example. But for this game, I usually just set it to 60/60 linear, and then we'll go back. Let's close that. Okay, so basically I'm running 1280 by 800, and then I usually put this to medium, and then I'll bump this up to 2 times. I really can't tell much difference, the AF, between 2 and 16, because it's a 7-inch screen. Like, you don't really need this maxed out to get a pretty good picture, unless you're playing this on, like, an external monitor. Maybe then you bump it up. Same thing with aliasing, it defaults to FXAA. You could bump it up to TAA, but it's kind of wasted on a tiny screen. So this is what the default is. If you go to medium, and I usually just bump this up to 2. And I normally get 60 FPS, I'd say about 90% of the time. There's some drops in certain areas, like it's usually not the number of enemies on the screen, it's just some areas are a little bit more demanding than others. But for the most part, I'm just about locked to 60. So I'm going to hit X to accept all. Let's just make sure that it did keep that. FXAA, got it ×2. Okay. Let's go ahead and jump into a game. Game. This is my highest level character. Pretty decent gear. I think I've shown it a few times on the channel. Sorceress, level 80 something, 88 I think. Using Aki, Shaco, a couple pieces of towel, spirit. I got like 1 SOJ. Yeah, kind of decent stuff. I need more skill charms. I kind of stopped playing this character when the ladder started. I made a solo self-found hardcore necro. That's what I've been playing. But you can see, and let me bring up, the Steam Deck has this really nice performance graph. You can get really granular, like if you want to know the speeds of every single CPU core and everything. I'll leave it here just so we can see a little bit more of the image. You can see 60 FPS. Look at that bar. It's not moving right now. And there's just a little bit of a dip. But generally, it's pretty close to 60. Let's go to leg act 5. And now when you switch acts, it will briefly go down. It's loading and stuff. That's normal. And loading does take a little bit longer. This is a little bit slower drive than my computer. So let's see. Here I'm getting 59, 58. So it depends on the act. Some of them are a little bit more demanding. And I'll actually show some combat too. I just kind of want to cycle through the different areas. Here in case in Act 4, 60. It's pretty much locked there. And like if you want to see, I'm getting 60 here. If I just changed the I'm sorry, that was texture quality. Do that to very high. Yeah, there it dropped. 54. Still pretty consistent. 53, 54. It's not like spinning all over the place. Put that back to medium, bump that back up. Maybe we'll go do like, do I have my Merc? I don't. I have not played this character much on the Steam Deck, but I do want to show you kind of like teleporting around. It just feels real natural on the Steam Deck. And I am playing this looking at my OBS window right now, so it's kind of janky as hell. Like, I'm not actually running this necessarily to the computer. Like, I'm running it to OBS, and I'm playing off of the OBS screen, which is kind of tiny. And the coloring is really dark here. I might need to increase the brightness. It seems a little off. On the Steam Deck, it looks fine. I think it's specifically the the type of screen you got and your graphical settings and everything. And this is a Blizzard Sorceress here, so I'm actually a little limited in my PS Sanctuary running, because there's things I just can't kill. And I'm reasonably powerful here. I don't have the best gear in the game, but not a complete noob. And you'll see, I've literally been locked at 60 FPS this entire Chaos run. That's pretty crazy for like the hardware in this thing. And that text is a little bit blurry here. On the Steam Deck, it's actually more legible than on the screen. I'm not sure why that is. Something between my... Maybe it's the change in resolution or something. But it's definitely playable. Like, not just playable, it's like fun. Like, it's a great way to play this game. If you're looking for a way to horribly play Diablo 2, I'm gonna die. Poison. Poison is like my bane here, because I don't have very good poison resist on screen. Yeah, negative poison resist. Oh, I'm cursed too. I play this 99% of the time with a mouse and keyboard, so my apologies that I'm slightly rusty playing with a controller. I've actually been playing through The Witcher 3 on my Steam Deck, so like I'd probably put 5 hours into Diablo since I've had the thing like a month, 6 weeks ago or something. But I've been really putting a lot of time into Witcher 3, which I never played, and I'm just kind of now playing for the first time. There, a little bit of frame dropped, 59, but again, very, very playable. I had some people saying like they were having trouble and they were getting like 45 frames per second and getting drops. The only thing I could think of is, are you running this in desktop mode instead of game mode? I think it uses different graphical drivers and you don't have the same benefits running it that way. If that's the case, try adding it as a non-Steam game and launching Battle.net and Diablo through through the game mode. I find you get better performance generally if you can get a game to run through game mode. And there, Diablo's dead. I'm gonna maybe bounce around like 1 or 2 more areas just to show you. But like the main areas I run, I get really great performance in. Maybe there, I haven't run through the entire game on the Steam Deck yet. Maybe there are particular areas, and if you're noticing like certain areas that you're getting lots of drops, let me know and I'll test it out. But like I've done Baal, I've done Diablo, I've done Mephisto, and all of them run pretty well. Like this one, yeah, 60 FPS again. I'm trying to remember the button to bring up my mini map. Couldn't remember. It's the left menu button. But the game basically treats Diablo basically treats it like you're running like an Xbox controller. So like if you've ever run this Diablo 2 Resurrected with a controller with an Xbox remote, you should know the basic controls here. I'm just not as... I've played Diablo 2 for 20 years with a mouse and keyboard. It's really hard to teleport and stuff with a controller after doing it for so long with the mouse and keyboard. It's still a lot of fun, but I definitely... I've been playing mostly hardcore. I don't feel safe playing my hardcore character with the Steam Deck. Like, I'm just not as good with the controller, and the performance isn't quite as good. You know, I'm normally playing on a PC with a 3080 and a 10700, and I'm getting literally like 140 FPS, and then coming to 60 and playing with a different controller method. I went the entire way. That was great. Again, like, just about locked at 60 FPS here. Probably be using Ice Blast as well, but I'm lazy. Yeah, so that's my settings. That's how I've got it running. You know, make sure you're adding it as a non-Steam game and launching it through the game mode. You know, make sure that you know, you got it set to 60 frame rate limit, refresh rate set to 60, have all this stuff turned off, linear filtering, and then in-game, I would recommend... Thought I was taking... That's weird. What's that red flashing? Is that because I'm poisoned? Oh, I did not mean to... And then for the settings, medium, I feel like, is the best. And then you could bump up AF without too much. Like, you could even go to 4 or maybe 8. You might have a few areas where you don't hit 60, but generally, you know, you're gonna be pretty close to 60. Yeah, so that's what I'm running. If you're still having difficulties, leave me a comment below. Let me know kind of your setup or what your experience is. But yeah, I'm getting great performance. The game is really fun to play on here. I'll probably put more time into it. Maybe the next... I didn't have this when the ladder season started, but next ladder season, I'll probably be playing like hybrid where I'm on the PC, and then like if I'm at a lunch break at work, or if it's a night I'm not playing the computer, I can still boot this up and get a little bit of time in, kind of thing. It's just a great complementary device to the computer, and I'm really, really in love with it. I'm going to have a full review of the Steam Deck up in the next week or so. I just really wanted to give it enough time to have a good and fair, you know, review of it. And honestly, I love the device. I'm going to have a positive review on it. There's very little negatives to this thing, other than it's difficult to get one. So I do want to thank you for watching. If you've got any games you want me to show with the Steam Deck, if you've got any questions about the Steam Deck, leave me a comment below. I will be happy to share my thoughts. Thank you again for watching, everyone, and have a good night.